You are listening to Brayford Radio. This recording was originally broadcast on the 20th of October 2016. For copyright reasons, this audio has been edited to remove any music being played during the show. We hope you enjoy the recording of Formula Tom, with me Tom Cairns, Martin Bulbrook, Harry Parker and Jack Fisher. Good evening and welcome to Formula Tom on Brayford Radio. Joining me tonight is Martin Bulbrook, Harry Parker and another newcomer to the series, Jack Fisher. On tonight's show we'll be chatting about the race in Austin that is lined up for this weekend, the latest move of Nico Hülkenberg to Renault and the newest F1 takeovers of Liberty Media. You can be involved in the show via Twitter, sending your tweets at Brayford Radio, or you can send us a message post via the Facebook pages of Formula Tom or Brayford Radio, and we'll share them during the hour. Okay. Good evening, guys.
Good evening.
Good evening. Yeah. Let's begin by talking about Austin. I mean, how much love do you think, I should say, America has with Formula One?
I feel it'll probably only grow, obviously with Liberty Media coming in. The figures have increased since NBC took over in 2013 anyway, so I feel it's probably just going to increase and get better and better for them.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, it's never going to be their biggest motorsport because they have NASCAR. It's got to go some to overtake that, but it is certainly growing out there and the viewing numbers are certainly showing for it.
And Jack?
I think it definitely has increased over recent years. They have found a track which the Americans seem to love, and so do the drivers, really.
Mm-hmm. And, we know about the Rosberg-Hamilton gap at the top at the moment, which stands at 33 points. But do you think Hamilton, because he has not won a Grand Prix since the German Grand Prix in July. I mean, that's... How many races is that? 5 races now? So Belgium, Italy, Singapore, Malaysia, Japan. Yeah, 5 races. Do you think his championship hopes have extinguished?
Well, it's not in his hands anymore.
Well, it's definitely not in his hands. We know that.
I think he has a good chance, though, because he has won the last 3 races out of... Not the last 3.
Well,
out of 4, he's
Austin.
won 3 of them in the last 4 years.
Okay.
So he has got a chance.
But it's not going to be as easy as he might think it would be.
No, it won't be
I mean,
easy.
statistics don't guarantee
No.
future results, do they? But he needs to fight back, doesn't he, Martin?
Yeah, he certainly does. The biggest thing which is good about him is he's been there, he's done it, he's been trailing very close to the end, come back and still won it. He's not letting all the mishaps affect him. He's still high on confidence, which we can see. He's still loving his driving, so hopefully he can come back. And
going straight into the tyre allocations, looking at Hamilton and Rosberg, fairly similar, but Rosberg has got one more soft than Lewis has. Hamilton's got 3 mediums and Rosberg 2. I mean, if we have like a damp or wet race and it gets dry later, you would think the medium would be the better tyre to be on than going straight on the softest tyre from the intermediate.
It would definitely, if we did have any kind of rain like that, it would give Hamilton the slightest advantage over Rosberg, depending on whereabouts they had qualified, because Hamilton could have a terrible qualifying,
but still fight back in the race.
It's possible, depending on the weather.
How are your view on it?
Well, as we've seen recently, it all really depends on Lewis's starts. If he has a poor start again, then his confidence will be down. He'll fight back, but it's almost like a race gone unless something happens to Rosberg once he's had a bad start.
Mm-hmm. And Martin, can you maybe elaborate on what Jack and Harry have just said about the tyre thing with going from intermediate to medium?
So obviously intermediates to medium, you're obviously going to get the fastest track on track and grip whilst going around it. Hamilton might have a spare medium which hasn't been touched over Rosberg if it gets to that stage, but once again Hamilton's starts are going to be the key factor. He hasn't had a problem with qualifying this season. He's always looked fast in qualifying. It is his starts which are just letting him down, and then obviously he's fighting from like 8th.
Mm-hmm. And looking further down the tyre allocations, the most conservative driver with the tyre allocations is Julian Palmer. He's got 5 mediums on him. He's got two softs and 6 super softs. What can you do from there? Because in recent races, that tyre has proved to be a good tyre for that Renault team in recent races in Malaysia and in Singapore.
Yeah, it has. Obviously, you never know. It might be a wet track and Palmer might come through with all his mediums and win. You never know. The Renaults do like their medium tyres. Will it work having 5? I think it's a bit too excessive, but he obviously likes it.
I mean, because he's not going to use all 5 mediums in the race. We all know that, because he will have super softs on hand. But that'll be a good tyre to have a test in the second practice session, because the teams do race simulations in the second half of the afternoon Friday session over there. How do you predict each compound to go in terms of the distance in the race? How many laps are we talking for each?
It would really depend on how hot this track is going to get, because it could turn out we could get maybe not wet weather but cooler weather and they could last longer, or we could be in for a scorcher and they don't last and we're in for much more stops in the race.
And Harry?
I don't think the super soft's going to last very long at all. I'm going to say like 10 to 15, more like 10 laps.
Something like 10 laps. I mean, Martin, what about for each?
Yeah, I think super soft's probably going to be about 10, because as we know, the Austin track can get very hot. The softs probably, I'm not sure, like 20 maybe.
Okay.
And then the mediums, I expect
no more than 30.
No more than 30. 30 will be really pushing it as well.
Just going on to the championship standings now. Rosberg, as we've already mentioned, has a 33-point lead over Lewis Hamilton going into this weekend's race in Austin. Ricciardo is third with 212, then Raikkonen in fourth with 170, then Verstappen and Vettel 5 points further back with 165. Bottas is 7th with 81. Perez in 8th with 80. Then it's Hülkenberg with 54 and Massa with 43. Alonso in 11th with 42. Sainz in 12th with 30. I mean, we've already mentioned about in previous shows about Alonso's great starts. Can he get another one? Because we've seen him do it with Ferrari. I mean, I remember in 2012 where it was quite a bit back, but he made it about 3 or 4 places just on that start alone, which is key for something like the 2-time world champion.
Yeah, I can't see why not. If he keeps doing what he's been doing in the McLaren, then he's making the car look pretty good at the moment. Improved.
If he can get a good qualifying, then he has got, with his starts, he has got a chance of pushing forward, but it would depend on the reliability of the car, because it has been not a bigger problem as previous years, but it has hampered him a bit.
Okay. And Martin?
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, it's not been the best car. Just imagine what it'd be like if you put him in a Mercedes. You never know.
Electric.
It'd be electric. Starting first place with his starts, no one would catch him every race. But yeah, he is. I'd say he's probably had the best starts out of anyone on the track all season. It's
been a challenge that he has embraced, though, hasn't it? He has to. Well, in situations like that, he has to have embraced it. I'm pretty sure he's embraced it with Renault and with Ferrari as well. And of course, in these days, in the Minardi days when he first joined F1. Just go through the remaining championship standings. Grosjean is in 13th for Haas with 28 points. Then it's Kvyat in 14th with 25. Then Button 15th with 19. Then it's Magnussen in 7. Palmer, Verlaine, Van Dorn all with 1. Leaving only Gutierrez, Oaks and Nasser, Haryanto and Ocon without a point so far this year. Mercedes have already clinched the Constructors' Championship. They're on 593 points. 208 points clear of Red Bull with 385. Then it's Ferrari a further 50 points back with 335. Then it's Force India in 4th with 134. Then it's Williams 124. McLaren with 62. Toro Rosso 47. Haas 28. Renault with 8. Manor with 1. And Sauber with no points at all this year. Do you see the likes of Sauber or Manor getting a point? I mean, Sauber need the points at the moment.
I don't see Sauber getting the point.
Not Sauber?
No, I don't see them getting a point at any point, unless there's a lot of retirements.
Something drastic would have to happen.
I mean, could the Austin track favour them? I mean, we haven't really seen the Austin track favour Sauber as such last year. I mean, Nasser got a 9th place finish in Austin last year, but considering that only 12 drivers finished last year's race, and Ericsson didn't finish the race at all, so I feel they need misfortunes. I mean, they need a really good car and they need some good form of luck to get them in a point scoring position. But it's not looking that way at the moment. Martin, do you see yourself getting any points?
I can't see Selber getting any points. Manor maybe get one through Verloin, but again, as you said, I think that's going to require a lot of retirements. But yeah, I just can't see either of them getting many points, if any.
If you guys have a view on the championship standings or any of the tyre allocations for this weekend's race in Austin, do please tweet in at Brayford Radio or send us a Facebook message or post via the Facebook pages of Formula Tom or Brayford Radio. And for now, here's your first question of the evening, and the first question is, who was the last American driver to score an F1 point? Who was the last American driver to score an F1 point? The answer will be given to you after some 41s in Too Deep. This is Tom Kent on Formula Tom. You are listening to Brayford Radio. And that was In Too Deep by some 41. The question we asked before we left was, who was the last American driver to score an F1 point? Did any of you guys go for any answers?
No.
No. Not even a guess, Martin?
No, I couldn't think of any American drivers.
Okay. Well, it's not Alex Rossi. It's not Scott Speed. It's the other American driver, Michael Andretti, in 1993 in Monza, which proved to be his last Grand Prix, actually. He finished on the podium, finished third that day, before leaving the McLaren team to go back to IndyCar. Now, we want to talk about a driver move that's happened last Friday, and that was Nico Hülkenberg, who confirmed that he would be moving to Renault for 2017. What do we make of it, guys? I mean, Harry, you were here when we were making our prediction, weren't we? I don't think you predict. Did you predict Hülkenberg to set Force India or to be at Renault?
No, we all kind of knew by that point.
Yeah, I mean, we unanimously agreed to put Hülkenberg with Renault, and we were right in the end. But how do you rate him as a driver? Because this will be his fourth different team he's driven for.
I like Hülkenberg. Clearly, I'm not sure what Renault have told him or anything to make him move. Obviously, in a year before his contract's run out. Mm-hmm. But clearly, there must be something good happening with Renault for him to leave a Force India team. They're looking quite good at the moment. They've got considerably better results than Renault do at the moment anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the main reasons for his move was he wants to be with an actual
chassis manufacturing team.
That's it. An actual team.
He doesn't want to be a customer team.
Yeah, he wants to be an actual producer team. So I think that was one of the big reasons behind his move, and I think he is a good driver, and he's not had a chance to really shine in a good car.
Mm-hmm. And Martin, your view on the move?
I think it's quite a negative move from looking at the facts at the minute. Obviously, Force India are producing much better results than Renault. Renault are sitting, I think, third from bottom in the constructors with 8 points, which for a whole season from a team like Renault is appalling.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not really sure, but as you say, he might want to go and be with the big boy of a group of team, which is Renault, being with the Renault chassis.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when I used to be young, I always used to be quite a fan of Renault because my mum and dad worked for a company within Renault because they used to be like sort of selling cars and that. And that, around the time, like Alonso was sort of winning championships and winning races, etc. But you know, Hülkenberg, I very, very, very much rate him as a driver. I know he hasn't quite been on terms as Perez yet this year. Like, Perez has got 2 podium finishes this year. Hülkenberg has yet to score a podium since his debut in Formula 1 in 2010. But looking at the statistics, actually, on the championship results that he has had since he debuted F1, 2012 has been the one where he's finished the most racing laps. I think he got a fastest lap at one of the races that year. And in 2014, he managed to get his highest points tally of 96 points. This year, he's only got 54 so far. Well, he's on the verge of beating last year's tally, but how do you think he'll manage at Renault? But how big of a jump will Renault make when he arrives there?
It's a different calibre of driver for me. For him to be moving there is a step in the right direction for Renault. Because obviously we want to see more teams getting up and eventually challenging Mercedes. We want to see a more level playing field so that any driver can win the championship, not just two. So I think it's a step in the right direction because he is, in my opinion, a very good driver. So for Renault, I think it's a good move.
Jack, can you further Harry's opinion on the...
I think it will... He's made the gamble that Renault are going to make a lot of improvements this year.
Okay.
They're going to fund and research a lot into going into next year, which hopefully they do, because I think they have got the quality behind them to become a big team again.
Specifically though, what do you think has hampered Renault's car performance this year and what they need to do? I mean, what about like aerodynamics or fuel efficiency, or what do you think it could be? Could it to do with the engine that they've got?
It's the engine for me.
Yeah, I think it's the engine. I think they've just... It's their first season back after taking over from Lotus. And yeah, they've been in it before, but I think they're a bit unsure. They're not too confident on the engine at the moment. So let them go through Christmas, into the research phase, and hopefully what they've learnt from this year will be put into next year and get better results.
But who would... I mean, we predicted, Harry, last week, I think it was Julian Palmer to race alongside Hulkenberg, but reports say that either Magnussen or Esteban Ocon would be racing. Yeah, but it's not certain that he will. I'd be either of them. It could be somebody else, but he needs to work with a driver who is capable, or who's going to be on terms with Hulkenberg to get racing points.
I'd like to see Ocon there. Probably the better move for Renault is Magnussen because he's a little bit more proven, but I still want to see Ocon in F1. I want to see him still at Manor for another year to help see how he does there. Because if you just chuck him in the deep end, you never know what might happen. Sure, we've seen what's happened with Verstappen, that's gone well, but there's no guarantee that's going to happen.
Martin?
Yeah, I agree. Ocon is going to be a great driver. You can just tell some of the stuff he does whilst on the track, but throwing him in the deep end, is it a good move? Who knows? It's what the gambling man tries. And are Renault the gambling man? I'm not sure, because they've got such a big reputation. I'm not sure they'll gamble their reputation on a fairly unknown driver still. Yeah.
Looking at the teammate comparison, obviously he's been through 4 different teammates in his first 4 years that he's competed in F1. Obviously it's raced with the experienced Rubens Barrichello at Williams. Obviously that's the same year where he got his only pole position in Brazil at that time. He's raced alongside Paul di Resta. I think Belgium that year he finished 4th, like he has this year. In Sauber, first half of that year he in a really uncompetitive car, but in the second half of the season, along with Gutierrez, they both stepped up in terms of performance towards the end, which is very, very good to see. And since he's joined Force India, I think he's relatively done a good job in this second spell at Force India. For him to move to Renault now, I think that in the long term, I think that's going to be a really good sort of step for him, because if he wants to race, I mean, we've mentioned about the chassis kind of team he wants to be in, own engine, their own gearbox that they make, and I think he's got a point to prove for next year. I mean, will he be on the podium? Who knows? Martin, do you think where do you think Renault could be next year with Hulkenberg?
I think if Renault focus down, sort out the engine to the gearbox, everything in their car, get comfortable with what Hulkenberg wants, and put in a good driver in a good car, I can't see why he's not up there challenging the top 6, which is obviously the Red Bull, Mercedes and Ferrari.
Jack, who do you think will race alongside Hulkenberg next year?
It's a difficult one because I think Ocon definitely needs at least another season in a lower team just to build his experience up. And then with Magnussen, he's also had interest from Haas, so it's difficult who should, but I'd say Magnussen would probably be the best option.
I mean, weirdly enough, we put Magnussen at Force India, didn't we? When Hulkenberg, we thought they're going to swap teams. I don't know what the probability will be on that happening now, but only time will tell, because there's still vacancies available at the likes of Force India and Williams.
Williams.
Martin, how do you think? I mean, who do you think will be in that Force India seat now that Hulkenberg's not there and not going to be there after this year?
I still personally can see Magnussen going to the Force India seat. He's a great driver. He would be good against Hulkenberg because they are both, I'd say, very equal in how good they are at driving, and they'd make a great, like, it'd almost be like a lower version of the Hamilton-Rosberg fiasco, which is great to see because they're edging each other on, and it's causing great races.
If you have any thoughts on anything that's happened in the F1 news lately, so Hulkenberg moved to Renault, the tyre allocations or the race coming up in Austin this weekend, do please tweet in at Brayford Radio or send us a post or message on the Facebook pages of Formula Tom or Brayford Radio, and we'll share your thoughts hopefully after wherever you go by the calling. But first, here is your question, which is which driver has the most wins in the US? Okay, which driver has the most wins in the US? Okay, that's your question. That will be given after the callings wherever you go. This is Tom Kent. I'm Formula Tom. You are listening to Brayford Radio. And that was wherever you go by the calling. The question we asked a few minutes ago was which driver has the most wins in the US? Guys, any answers?
Jack?
I'm not 100% sure. I know Hamilton's won 4 or 5, but I wouldn't say he's won the most.
Me and my dad have both gone for Schumacher.
I would have probably gone Hamilton, but I'm not sure.
The answer is Michael Schumacher. So very well done to Harry and Mr. Parker back home. So Schumacher won all 5 of his races at Indianapolis. He won in 2000, and then from 2003 to 2006 he won his other 4. Hamilton is the most successful current driver in the US with 4 wins, one of them coming in Indianapolis in his rookie year in 2007, before winning 3 times out of 4 in Austin in 2012, in 2014, and of course that championship decider last year. So it's that time of the show, especially for you, Martin, and for myself. It is... There we go. Yes. So we know how you did in Japan. How many points did you get again? Because you topped the results on that one.
Yeah, I got 122 from that week.
Okay, I think I got 99 that time. But I don't know. I mean, I'm struggling to think what the result. My predictions actually. I think it's Hamilton, Rosberg, Verstappen. What predictions would you go for if you had to?
For this next race,
yes,
I'm going. So I've already done mine, but it'll probably change with the practice, depending on how drivers go. But I went Hamilton, Verstappen, Vettel.
Okay, so you think Rosberg could encounter?
I think he's gonna slip up somewhere and finish like 4th, maybe 5th.
Okay, Harry, if you were to predict this weekend's race, I mean, I think you made your prediction last week, but had you changed your prediction then? If you haven't, so do please remind us what.
I can't exactly remember what I predicted last week, but I do remember who I predicted to go out. So
first,
so I think my prediction, and I'm going to stick with it, was Rosberg, Hamilton, Ricciardo. I think that was my prediction, or it's Ricciardo 2nd and Hamilton 3rd. So I thought he'd had a bad start again.
And what did you? Sorry, Jack. I should have asked you before I asked Harry's thingy. What if you were to predict top 3 finishes for this weekend? Who would you go for?
I think I have a feeling that one of the Red Bulls will split the Mercedes. So I want to go Hamilton, Ricciardo, Rosberg.
Hamilton, Ricciardo, Rosberg.
Yes.
So Hamilton would take 10 points out of Rosberg's lead if that was proved to be the case, which would take it down to 23, which is just under a race win. Yeah, I mean, for myself, I did mention my prediction. I mean, I can't remember who put the first driver out because it's almost like a dart. really. Just
I remember mine.
yeah. But having said that, I remember Honey Badger GP's result in Russia, where he became the 8th highest scorer out of everyone around the world, basically because he got nearly every prediction right for that race. If he got the top 3 right, I think the only one he didn't get right was the first retirement. So he got the fastest lap. He got the fastest lap driver. He got the pole sitter, and I can't remember what the other one. It's a number of safety cars. That's what it is. Do we see any safety cars in Austin? Talking which?
2.
2. Okay. Probably like one on the first lap or something.
Yeah, I think first lap incident between Verstappen and Vettel. Like I said last week, I think something's going to happen between them.
Statistically,
First
that's very
lap.
high.
History repeating itself.
Yeah, and then just something randomly happening in the middle of the race. So I'm going to go with 2 safety cars, and then Vettel to instigate the crash with Verstappen.
Did you go for any safety cars, man?
I'm going to go for 1. I think there'll be 1 at the start, and then I think the only other thing that might happen would be virtual safety car.
And Jack, if you were to choose how many safety cars there will be in Sunday's race?
I think I'm with Martin. I think 1 right at the start, and then the rest will be yellow, just single yellow flags or virtual safety cars.
Yeah, unless the safety car was to come out if it's raining, you would think there'll be a safety car possibly start like Monaco and Silverstone. Looking at the circuit of the Americas in Austin, obviously it's hosted its first Grand Prix 4 years ago in 2012. It's a 56 lap race with a circuit length of 5.5 kilometres with a race distance of 308.4 kilometres. The fastest lap is currently held by Sebastian Vettel from 2012 with a time of 1 minute 39.347. In terms of the race times for Sunday, Austin is 6 hours behind us, so it's an 8. Oh no, is it? Yeah, 6. I think it's an 8 o'clock race start in over here in back home in the UK. It's an 8 p.m. start with Austin beginning at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, by the looks of things, or 4 o'clock, whichever. But I'm pretty sure it's 6 hours behind us anyway. But are there any corners on there that you think could be the most challenging ones for the drivers? Obviously, there's the sort of reminiscent of Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel on there, along with that sort of swerve of 16, 17, 18, which is almost like turn 8 of Istanbul.
Yeah.
I mean, do you find those corners, do you think they're sort of replicating the corners just to sort of bring history back into Formula 1? Or is it like they're trying something new and then for the drivers to experience something that they've not experienced as such?
I think it's them trying something new, personally. Just because every driver wants something new, keeps it fresh, and they thought, why not? Might as well try it.
Harry?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. I like the circuit layout at Austin.
Jack, what's your take on the circuit? I mean, have you played on any racing games where you're having to race around the Austin track?
I've had a couple of goes in Austin, and I have to that the first set of corners when you're surrounded by other race, it's difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So I think first lap, that's going to be the most difficult area.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as they spread out, I'd say the last set of corners will be the most difficult, definitely.
Because if you're going side by side into there with someone, I've never really seen an accident at that part of the racetrack, but it doesn't mean to say that there won't be some, because if drivers a little bit too careless, they could end up making contact and perhaps bringing out a safety car at that point, which could perhaps change the sort of dimension of the race if it's out on lap 22 or 23 or halfway through the race, won't it?
See, if I remember right, there is a lot of runoff at Austin, especially in that front area. If I remember correctly, there's a lot of runoff, so that they'll lose places, but it'll be able to keep cars in the race rather than have to retire. Yeah,
because there's a lot of runoff areas, but sometimes drivers take too much sort of runoff to sort of gain an advantage. But what they've done in obviously on other circuits to sort of prevent that is those sausage curves that you find.
Yes.
Where or the sleeping policemen.
There you go.
There you go, sleeping policemen. If that's a better description of them. And also they put like a block with like a line or something that you have to go round to come back onto the racetrack. I think Hamilton got reprimanded once in Russia for not going around that cone in practice or something, which sort of led to his penalty they got in Belgium, which was damage limitation. For me, obviously, I mean, looking at the elevation level down below, obviously with turn 1, it's at a sea level of, 157.4 metres above sea level, which, I mean, we like a corner like that, such an uphill bend to take it straight back down. I mean, we don't really see, in Brazil they have got like a little bit of a banking at turn 1, but that's nothing in comparison to Austin, is it?
No. I really like turn 1.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
It's always fun to see them start and sort of clamour for positions.
Just to keep you remind you that there are 2 DRS zones on the Austin racetrack. The detection point for the first one lies between turns 10 and 11, which is sort of where the hairpin is. Before that, back straight, where you can open the DRS there. The second DRS zone, the detection point, lies between the third and second to last corners, turn 18 and 19, before the activation zone on the start finish straight after turn 20. I mean, do we like races like in the evenings? Do you like watching races in the evening?
Yeah, I like watching races in the evening. I think everyone does, because it's the evening, you can settle down and you can watch it, and it's great entertainment.
And it's better than having to wake up in the morning, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, if I was in Australia now, and I just watching the Australian Grand Prix, I wouldn't need to worry whatsoever waking up in the morning just to watch a Grand Prix. But sometimes waking up is always worth it to be watching these kind of Grand Prix. I mean, Suzuka wasn't the most exciting race we've watched, but I mean, Malaysia, obviously it was a little bit sort of later in the morning watching it, but I'm not the biggest fan of watching races in the morning, but I have the dedication to watch races of Formula 1, considering how long I've been watching Formula 1 for. So there you go. As we've been sharing our predictions and results for this weekend's race in Austin, you can be involved in the show via Twitter, sending in your tweets at Brayford Radio, or you can send us a message or a post via the Facebook pages of Formula Tom or Brayford Radio, along with answering our final question for this evening. And the question is, who was the last American world champion? Okay, who was the last American world champion? And talking of which of America, here is America by Razorlights. This is Tom Ken's on Formula Tom. You are listening to Brayford Radio. And that was America by Razorlights. The question we asked before we left was, who was the last American world champion? Did you have any guesses, guys?
No.
No. Both my parents came in and they think it's Emerson Fittipaldi. I can tell you it's not Emerson Fittipaldi because he's Brazilian. I can tell you the answer is Mario Andretti, who was the last American to win the F1 in 1978. Okay, so he's also the father of Michael Andretti, who participated in Formula 1 in 93. Going on now, let's talk about F1's newest takeovers that are Liberty Media. What were your guys' views on the news of the takeover last month?
I thought, because obviously there was loads of speculation beforehand, it was definitely gonna happen when it happened. We didn't know it's happened, but yeah, it needed to happen, I think, and it has happened.
Harry?
I don't really know what they're going to do. I don't think any of us know what they're going to do at the moment. They have a vast amount of capital assets, so there could be quite a lot of investment to come, but it's depending on what they want to do, really.
Mm-hmm. And Jack?
I think we've just got it's good for the sport if Liberty are willing to invest, because we hope they're willing to invest. We hope they've got a plan for F1, because if they do, it could boost viewership massively.
Mm-hmm. Just give you guys a little bit of insight to who Liberty Media are. According to their official website, it says that Liberty Media Corporation owns an interest in a broad range of media communications and entertainment businesses. Those interests are attributed to 3 track and stock groups: the Liberty Braves Group, the Liberty Media Group, and the Liberty Sirius XM Group. The Liberty Braves Group consists of Liberty Media Corporation's wholly owned a subsidiary, Braves Holdings LLC, which indirectly owns the Atlanta Braves Major League Baseball club. the Atlanta Braves Stadium and associated real estate projects. So it's not just F1 in terms of the sport that they're looking to take over. Obviously, they have an association with a baseball club, a Major League Baseball club. So we know they've got the money. So what can they bring? Because they can't just take over just to sort of Americanise the sport, but to make America more of a heritage for Formula One.
Hopefully it brings a bit more viewership in America, and hopefully they try and make, well, F1's getting to a stage where the fans of it's not bringing in that many new younger fans, so they might need to try something. I'm not sure what they could do, but that's the task that they've got.
Mm-hmm. Jack, we know the sort of I think they're sort of involved in like American football as well, but what do you think they can do that Formula 1 has not happened for a long time, do you think?
I think really it will be able to use its connections in America, because I know they've got stock in Time Warner, so I know hopefully they might be able to push more. So like over here we have F1 documentaries teaching us about the history of the sport. Hopefully they can push them more and push the sport more out there to really push that viewership out there and bring new teams in, new funding, and maybe even new talent.
Just finish off the insight to Liberty Media. The Liberty Media Group consists of Liberty Media Corporation's interest in Live Nation Entertainment Incorporation, other minority investments including Time Warner Incorporation and Viacom Incorporation, and an intergroup interest in the Liberty Braves Group. The Liberty Sirius XM Group consists of Liberty Media Corporation's interest in Sirius XM Holdings Incorporation. Well, I think it's safe to say there's a lot of incorporations that they're very much associated with, isn't it? I mean, lots of things happening there, but sort of it's instrumental to getting them the money that they're after to take over the sport.
Yeah, certainly. Obviously, as we know, they've got loads and loads of money. As you just read, there is a lot of corporations there, which shows they've got a lot of money. And I think with their takeover, we could see a boom in the F1,
F1
paddock viewership if they put their money in the right places, because they've obviously got loads of money to pump into the sport if they want to. So if they do it right, we could see a massive increase in viewers, a massive increase. We could see more teams come in. We could see quite big changes.
And I know Sky raised the question actually about, could F1 have 25 races in a season? I mean, how would you feel if that was to be the case?
It'd be a lot of races.
Because that's almost every race weekend, isn't
it? It puts so much stress on the team. They'd have to have a lot of new crew members to keep everybody fit, really, to make sure everybody gets holiday. I think that was raised by one of the teams, might have been Williams, that raised that issue.
It's pushing it on the drivers as well, because that's a lot of races it's a lot.
I don't think at the moment 25 is doable.
I think that's going to be a gradual rise.
It has to be gradual.
It has to be a gradual rise for it to happen, because this year is the first year that it hosts 21 races. So I think next season will be the same. Next season will provisionally be the same, but it's just a matter of can they manage 22?
Yeah.
Which they should be able to, because that's just one extra race.
Yeah.
But they'll probably have to. Manage the situation. They will manage the situation. I mean, could it be give some of the mechanics rest while the others step in?
Yeah.
Because they can't manage 22 races. Then that's gonna stress them out. Really.
Yeah, they need to be able to go home and spend time with the families, or go on a holiday or something like that.
Because it's gonna. Stressing the muscles out too much, really, isn't it? Especially with all the pit stops that they do every year, etc., etc., etc. And it's just training up all those mechanics to sort of be
especially the Williams ones.
The Williams ones. I mean, Williams, which is evident in advertisements that we have seen, that they can sort of train themselves up. Or I hope it's not just to show them off of how because they're a Williams pit crew, but. They're made to be like that, aren't they? Doing pit stops and stuff. But they've got refueling coming back as well next year, which is going to be another.
I'm interested to see that. I hope it'll go well. It's a lot safer now, isn't it? That's the reason they brought it back.
Yeah.
And they're trying to add more excitement. We don't really want to see them catching fire down the pit lane again.
No, we do not want that. I mean, Jos Verstappen's pit fire in Hockenheim is a prime example of it.
Yeah.
Which is sort of why refueling was banned for 2010 onwards, because one for cost with the chocolate, and two for safety reasons for the mechanics. But I think there's got to be some form of consistency of not making making pit fires happen again in the future of F1. But we want to see fast cars out on circuit, don't we?
Yeah, we want to see cars who are constantly on the edge so that they can go as quick as they possibly can, testing how quick the driver can push them. That's what we want to see. So refueling, you'd think it's going to be a better thing, but it does have to be safe.
Yeah. According to BBC, Liberty has bought an initial 18% of the F1 group and become the main shareholder with 35.3% when the deal is completed, due to be in early 2017. Red Bull team boss Christian Horner said, "It sounds very positive. I can't believe a serious group like Liberty would buy F1 without a long-term plan. Hopefully they can address some of the weaknesses we have in some areas." Horner singled out F1's struggles to penetrate the US market and exploit digital and social media platforms effectively. His views were echoed by Mercedes F1 team boss Toto Wolff, who said, "Christian and I rarely agree, but on this we are 100% on the same page." In remarks that could be interpreted as a swipe at the previous main shareholder, CVC Capital Partners, Horner also welcomed the fact that a company with a desire to invest in and develop the sport had become the new owners. And he said this at the end, saying, "Rather than a venture capitalist buying it, it is far better for the sport that a company like Liberty does." Jensen Button backs Liberty Media to make F1 a better sport than it is now. But how do you think CVC Capital Partners have done? Because they took over in 2005. But how do you feel they've taken over and how they've managed the F1 sport in terms of investing?
It's kind of like stagnated since then. With Liberty Media coming in. Obviously they have all the different platforms that they can go onto, with in the UK owning 9.9% of ITV, even though I don't particularly think that would be the best. Obviously they own Virgin Media as well, so that could be a way of them exploiting the internet market, owning like a big broadband company, offering. So I'm not sure what they could do, but I do think it's better, and I don't think CBC did the best job they could have done.
Okay. Just before we go, I got a message in from my mum saying, "What are our thoughts on Hulkenberg joining Renault in 2017?" Well, we mentioned earlier in the show about our thoughts. I back Hulkenberg to succeed, because not only he'll be driving in a team that's sort of gradually rising, but they've obviously took over this year from the Lotus team. But next year, I feel they'll bring like a better car for next year. I mean, we saw McLaren earlier this year. Like last year, they struggled, but this year they've progressed,
improved,
better. They've improved. Yeah, I see that happening for Renault next year. I mean, Martin, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. They have to as well. A big team like Renault going through the season with 8 points, finishing third from bottom, when you got teams like Force India and that above you, you should be up there competing with the Force India, and they're just not this season. So they've got to come back strong, and I think they will. And
Harry, your final opinion?
I agree as well. I think Renault are going to come back stronger.
Okay, and Jack?
I think it's definitely a gamble, but I'd say I think it's going to pay off for Hulkenberg.
Eventually.
Yeah, eventually.
We'd love to talk more, but unfortunately that is at the end of the show tonight. Thank you for listening and sending your tweets and answers tonight. Do make sure you join in next week's show, where me, Martin, Jack Murphy and Kathy Daniels will review the race from Austin alongside me, as well as our preview for Mexico that follows that. From me, Martin, Harry and Jack Fisher, have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you again next week. This is Tom Kens on Formula Tom. You are listening to Brayford Radio.